Well, we're nearing closer and closer to the end of the season, and the playoff picture is starting to take shape. We already had 4 games take place there, with no teams on bye this week. We've got 12 more coming up. Last week, I went 11-3, bringing my total record on the season to 113, 64-1. In this video, I'll be predicting every week 13 game with score predictions. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Subscribe takes a second, and it really helps me out. Thank you, and let's get started. New Orleans Saints versus Miami Dolphins. And we're starting out with the shit show. The Saints lost to the Kirk Cousins-led Falcons last week. Tyler Shuck was incredibly mid, and unfortunately, Alvin Kamara is going to be out this week. Through 4 games now, Shuck has been pretty solid, but being a 26-year-old rookie with a lengthy injury history, I don't know if he's locked in to be the Saints starter next year. The Dolphins were on bye last week, and the week before barely beat the Commanders in overtime. Mike McDaniel almost cost them the game though, choosing and failing to convert a 4th down rather than kick the game-winning field goal, which is a decision only a person on serious illegal substances would make, though that's pretty fitting for McDaniel. However, their defense contained an injured Commanders offense, and Devon Achane did Devon Achane things. I'm taking Miami here 24-17 for pretty much the same reason I took the Falcons last week. Tua knows how to throw the football more than 2 yards most of the time, and they should be able to take care of business at home. Houston Texans versus Indianapolis Colts. A few weeks ago, it was looking like the Colts are going to run away with this division, but now the stakes in this game are at an all-time high, and if Houston can win this, they have a real shot at coming back and winning the AFC South. They had a dominant defensive performance in the win over the Bills, sacking Josh Allen 8 times and picking him off twice. This is the best defense in the league, and honestly, it's not even that close. It doesn't matter if CJ Stroud, Davis Mills, or local Target employees at QB, this defense will always give the Texans a chance to win. The Colts lost in a close one to the Chiefs last week. Jonathan Taylor was pretty contained, and that seems to be the recipe for beating the Colts, because in recent weeks, Daniel Jones hasn't really looked like the MVP candidate we saw at the beginning of the season. This is going to be an ugly defensive game, but I'm actually taking Houston 20-19. If there's any defense I trust to contain JT, it's the Texans, and with CJ Stroud returning, I think they get a much-needed win. Atlanta Falcons versus New York Jets. Well, at least the Jets have some semblance of a passing game now. They still lost, but Tyrod Taylor wasn't awful. It was really the run game that couldn't get going. Losing is fine though, the Jets are in obvious tanking mode. The Falcons managed to beat the Saints last week to pretty much no one's surprise. Kirk Cousins actually played pretty well, and Darnell Mooney remembered how to catch the ball, which was good. Drake London is still out, but I think the Falcons get the win 24-20. It probably won't be pretty, it usually isn't with 97-year-old Kirk Cousins, but this is a far superior team than the Jets. San Francisco 49ers versus Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett isn't human. There is absolutely nothing you can do to convince me that Myles Garrett is anything but an alien that was built in a lab on a special alien spaceship and then dropped onto Earth to ruin QB's lives. Garrett has 14 sacks in the last 5 games alone, which is more than any other defensive player has all season. This guy's gonna break the sack record by week 16. Also, I'm sure you guys want to hear my thoughts on Shedeur. I think he did enough. He had one really good throw and also an awful interception. It was like a solid C performance. We'll see what he can do when he actually has to go up against a real NFL team. Said real NFL team is coming off a win over the Panthers where the defense was great, but Brock Purdy was not, throwing 3 interceptions in just the first half. Mac Jones has played better than Purdy up to this point, and I'm not saying Jones should be the starter, but it is something to monitor. I do think both offenses struggle in this game, but I'll take the 49ers 23-16. I trust Purdy more than Shedeur at this point, and I trust Kyle Shanahan way more than Kevin Stefanski, so I'm picking San Fran in this one. Los Angeles Rams versus Carolina Panthers. Carolina might be the worst 6-6 team we have ever seen. I mean, they have the 9th worst point differential in the league and the 4th worst offense in terms of points per game, yet somehow they're not that far away from a playoff spot. Bryce Young continues to be the most polarizing QB in the league. He put up 450 yards against the Falcons, then put up 170 yards and 2 picks a week later against the Niners. I don't really know what to think of him. I do know what to think of the Rams. They're the best team in the NFL and are probably going to the Super Bowl. I mean, what other team in the NFC could compete with them? The Seahawks threw 4 picks against them, both the Bucs and the 49ers got blown out by them, and with the way the Eagles are looking, they lose to them also. The Panthers certainly cannot compete. I'll take the Rams 38-20. JC Horn is out for the Panthers, which is only going to make things worse, and I'm expecting massive numbers from this Rams offense. Jacksonville Jaguars versus Tennessee Titans. They lost, but the Titans played by far their best game of the season last week against Seattle. Cam Ward looked really good, and this is probably the best case scenario for the Titans. Lose to continue the tank, but make the losses look good. The Jags are a bit different. They're winning, but most of their wins have not looked that good, especially last week against the Cardinals, where Trevor Lawrence had the most Trevor Lawrence game ever, throwing 3 touchdowns but also 3 interceptions. And if it weren't for Josh Hines Allen taking over that game, the Jags probably don't win. Luckily, the Titans are still a bad team, and I'm taking Jacksonville 27-21. They'll fight hard, but the Titans won't be able to keep up with the Jags. Arizona Cardinals versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Good news for the Bucs. It's looking like Baker Mayfield is going to play, which is huge because this is a must-win for Tampa. They're on a 3-game losing streak, and Carolina is closing in on the division. Luckily, this is the easiest matchup they've had since the bye. The Cardinals are a solid team that plays hard, but are limited on both sides of the ball, especially their run game. Relying on Jacoby Brissett to throw the ball 50 times a game only works so well. Marvin Harrison is still questionable, but Michael Wilson has stepped up nicely, and there's definitely a world in which the Cardinals win this game. But I am going to take Tampa 28-24. The Bucs know this is a must-win, and I think they have the offensive firepower to overwhelm the Cardinals defense and pull out a victory. Minnesota Vikings versus Seattle Seahawks. So 9 must be the amount of IQ points JJ McCarthy has, because that's the only explanation for why he's been so historically terrible. In fact, he's the worst QB since Jamarcus Russell. It's only been 6 games, and I don't want to just outright call him a bust, but it's really looking like McCarthy isn't going to be the future of Minnesota. They will get the opportunity to evaluate a different QB this week, as undrafted rookie Max Brosmer stepping in place of concussed McCarthy. He has a lot of similarities to Brock Purdy, both in his playstyle and the fact that he's replacing an injured first-round QB in week 13 of his rookie season. There's a real possibility that Brosmer plays well in this system, and he could be the Vikings QB going forward. The other big storyline in this one is the Sam Darnold revenge game. The Vikings let Darnold walk, and that has seemed to be a big mistake, because Darnold has been balling out in Seattle. Just hit a rough patch a couple of weeks ago, but bounced back nicely against the Titans, and JSN continues to be an absolute monster. I'll take the Seahawks to get a comfortable 30-17 win. Brosmer might be able to do some stuff, but the Seahawks are an infinitely better team. Buffalo Bills versus Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, so much for the Steelers defense being any good. They crumbled last week against the Bears, allowing 31 points and barely getting any pressure on Caleb Williams. Luckily, Aaron Rodgers is returning this week, which should help the offense, as Mason Rudolph had 2 costly turnovers. The Bills are coming off a rough loss to the Texans. Josh Allen was under pressure all game, and nobody outside of James Cook and Khalil Shakir did anything on offense. I'm half tempted to pick the Steelers here just because there is a chance their defense bounces back and plays like they did against the Colts or Bengals, but I am going to take Buffalo 27-24. If they can get the run game going, which they should be able to do with Cook, that's going to open up a lot of passing opportunities against the worst pass defense in the league. Las Vegas Raiders versus Los Angeles Chargers. The Raiders have somehow hit a new low. Losing by 14 to the Cleveland Browns and Shedeur Sanders in his first ever start is absolutely embarrassing. The offensive line might as well have not shown up, because they allowed 10 sacks and couldn't run the ball whatsoever. If it wasn't already, the tank is officially on. The Chargers, well, I have no idea what to do with them. They were on bye last weekend, the week before got blown up by the Jags. I can't even identify what went wrong because it seemed like everything went wrong. But luckily, this is a great bounce back opportunity against the Raiders, and I'll take LA 27-17. The Raiders are an absolute joke, and the Chargers, well, they're less of a joke. Denver Broncos versus Washington Commanders. This game looked a lot better before the season started. Both these teams were on bye last week, but the Commanders lost to the Dolphins and still aren't getting Daniel Daniels back, and the Broncos picked up a massive win over the Chiefs to basically secure the AFC West title. Pat Surtain is returning after not playing since week 8, which is huge, and I think the Broncos got a pretty easy 27-13 win. Their defense isn't going to allow the Commanders offense to do anything, and their own offense isn't too bad either. New York Giants versus New England Patriots. Congrats, New York, you are officially the first team to be eliminated from the playoffs. The only surprising thing about that is that they were eliminated before the Titans. At least their game against the Lions was fun. Jameis Winston had the most Jameis Winston game of all time, throwing for 366 yards and he even caught a touchdown. Unfortunately, their defense allowed Jahmyr Gibbs to do whatever he wanted to them. The Patriots are the first team to reach double-digit wins and have a firm grip on the 1 seed in the AFC. Drake May continues to be Drake May and is Drake Maying all over the place, and I think he does that again against the Giants in a 34-19 win. Maybe this is finally the week he passes for over 300 yards. That's it. Those are my week 13 NFL predictions. Or do you agree? Or do you disagree? Comment below. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new, and that's it for me. See ya.